The Littlest Owl's Big Adventure. Once upon a time, in a magical forest, there was a little owl named Hoot. Hoot was the smallest owl in the forest and always felt left out because all the other animals were bigger than him. One day, while Hoot was playing with his friends, he saw a beautiful butterfly fluttering by. He decided to follow the butterfly, even though his friends told him it was too dangerous. As Hoot followed the butterfly, he came across a babbling brook. Hoot had never seen a brook before, and he was curious. He watched the water flow and felt the cool breeze. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew Hoot off his feet, and he tumbled down the stream. Hoot tried to fly, but he was too small and couldn't get back up into the air. As Hoot continued down the stream, he saw a family of rabbits who were in trouble. Their burrow had flooded, and they didn't have anywhere to stay. Hoot remembered how his friends had helped him in the past, so he decided to help the rabbits. Hoot searched for a safe place for the rabbits to stay and finally found a cozy hollow tree. He helped the rabbits settle in, and they were very grateful to Hoot. As Hoot was flying back home, he realized that even though he was the smallest owl in the forest, he could still do big things. He felt proud of himself and knew that he had made a difference in the rabbits' lives. From that day on, Hoot was no longer the littlest owl in the forest. He was the bravest owl, and all the animals looked up to him. The end. Sweet dreams, little one. The Magical Garden. Once upon a time, there was a young girl named Lily who loved to explore. One day, while playing in her backyard, she noticed a tiny door at the base of a tree. She tried to open it, but it was locked. Curious, she came back the next day with a small key that she had found in her mother's jewelry box. Lily unlocked the door and peered inside. She saw a narrow tunnel leading to a beautiful garden, filled with colorful flowers and sparkling streams. Lily stepped inside and was amazed by the magic of the garden. The flowers glowed in the sunlight, and the streams glistened like diamonds. As she walked through the garden, Lily noticed a group of fairies, dancing around a small pond. They saw her and invited her to join in the dance. Lily danced and played with the fairies, feeling happier than she ever had before. As the sun began to set, Lily realized she needed to go home. The fairies gave her a small crystal, telling her it was a reminder of her magical adventure. Lily thanked the fairies and walked back through the tunnel, closing the tiny door behind her. Lily never forgot her magical adventure in the garden. She kept the crystal with her at all times, reminding her of the wonder and joy of that day. From then on, whenever she felt sad or lonely, she would hold the crystal and remember the happiness of that magical garden. The end. Good night and sweet dreams. The Mysterious Island. Once upon a time, there was a group of adventurers who set out to explore the uncharted territories of the ocean. After weeks of sailing, they stumbled upon a mysterious island that was not on any map. The island was covered in dense jungle, and they could hear strange sounds coming from deep within. As they made their way through the jungle, they came across a tribe of natives who greeted them warmly. The natives were friendly and hospitable, offering the adventurers food and shelter. However, the adventurers noticed that the natives seemed to be afraid of something. One night, as they were sitting around the campfire, the natives shared a story about a legendary creature that lived on the island. They called it the beast of the island, and described it as a massive, ferocious beast with sharp teeth and claws. The adventurers didn't believe the story at first, but soon they began to see signs that something dangerous was lurking in the jungle. Despite the warnings of the natives, the adventurers decided to venture deeper into the jungle in search of the beast. They encountered many dangers along the way, from treacherous cliffs to venomous snakes. Finally, they stumbled upon a massive cave, and they could hear the sound of heavy breathing coming from inside. With trembling hands, they entered the cave, armed with only their courage and a few weapons. As they made their way deeper into the cave, they finally came face to face with the beast. It was everything the natives had described, with razor-sharp teeth and massive claws. The adventurers fought bravely, but it seemed like the beast was too powerful. Just as all hope seemed lost, one of the adventurers remembered a legend he had heard as a child about a magical amulet that could defeat any monster. He remembered that the amulet was said to be buried deep within the jungle. The adventurers raced back through the jungle, dodging obstacles and fighting off dangers along the way. Finally, they found the amulet and rushed back to the cave. With the amulet in hand, they were able to defeat the beast and save the island from its terror. As they sailed away from the island, the adventurers reflected on their journey and the lessons they had learned. They realized that sometimes the greatest adventures come with the greatest risks, but that courage and determination can help you overcome even the scariest of obstacles. The end. Sleep tight and sweet dreams. The Quest for the Lost City. Once upon a time, in a far-off land, there lived a young adventurer named Alex. Alex was always looking for his next big adventure, and one day he heard a rumor about a lost city that was filled with treasure beyond imagination. He knew he had to find it. Alex gathered a group of fellow adventurers, each with their own unique skills, and set out on the journey to find the lost city. They traveled through dense forests, crossed raging rivers, and braved scorching deserts. Along the way, they encountered many dangers, from ferocious beasts to treacherous bandits. But they never lost sight of their goal. They pressed on, driven by the promise of treasure and the thrill of adventure. Finally, after months of travel, they arrived at the foot of a great mountain, where the lost city was rumored to be hidden. As they climbed the mountain, they faced new challenges at every turn. They scaled sheer cliffs, crossed narrow bridges over deep chasms, and navigated treacherous underground tunnels. But with each obstacle, they grew stronger and more determined. Finally, after days of climbing, they reached the top of the mountain and saw the lost city spread out before them. It was a magnificent sight, with towering buildings and glittering jewels as far as the eye could see. But as they drew closer, they realized that the city was not deserted. A group of bandits had taken up residence in the city, and they were fiercely guarding the treasure within. The adventurers knew they couldn't turn back now. They rallied their courage and fought the bandits, using all their skills and weapons. It was a fierce battle, but in the end, the adventurers emerged victorious. As they explored the lost city, they found treasures beyond their wildest dreams. There were golden statues, jeweled swords, and chests overflowing with diamonds and rubies. But they also found something else, something even more valuable than treasure. They found a deep sense of friendship and camaraderie that had developed during their long journey. With their bags full of treasure and their hearts full of adventure, the adventurers set out on the journey back home. They knew that they would always remember their epic quest for the lost city, and that the memories of their adventures would stay with them forever. The end. Sleep well and sweet dreams. The Great Animal Assembly. Once upon a time, in a vast jungle, all the animals gathered for the Great Animal Assembly. It was a yearly event where all the animals of the jungle would come together to discuss important matters and make important decisions for the jungle's future. The assembly was always a grand affair, with the elephants trumpeting, the monkeys chattering, and the birds singing. The lions roared to announce the start of the meeting, and all the animals gathered around a great tree where the leader of the assembly, a wise old owl, perched on a branch. The wise old owl began the meeting by discussing the state of the jungle. He talked about how the trees were being cut down by humans, and how the animals were losing their homes. He asked the animals for their ideas on how to protect the jungle. One by one, the animals stood up and shared their ideas. The monkeys suggested that they could throw bananas at the humans, while the elephants proposed using their strength to push them away. The birds suggested that they could drop coconuts on them, while the tigers thought they could scare them away with their fierce roars. But the wise old owl knew that violence was not the answer. He reminded the animals that they were not only fighting for themselves, but for the future generations of animals who would call the jungle their home. Together, the animals came up with a plan. They would create a committee to talk to the humans and explain to them the importance of preserving the jungle. They would educate them about the animals and their habitats and ask them to help protect the jungle. The plan worked, and the humans listened to the animals' concerns. They agreed to stop cutting down trees and to work with the animals to protect the jungle. The animals were overjoyed, and they celebrated by dancing and singing. From that day on, the animals of the jungle worked together to protect their home. They lived in peace and harmony, and the Great Animal Assembly became a symbol of their unity and strength. The end. Sleep well and sweet dreams. The Lion King's Triumph. Once upon a time, in the heart of the African savanna, there was a majestic lion named Simba. Simba was the king of his pride, and he was loved and respected by all the animals in the savanna. He was known for his courage, his strength, and his wisdom. One day, a pack of hyenas invaded the savanna, led by a cunning and cruel hyena named Scar. Scar wanted to take over the savanna and become its new ruler. He knew that the lions were the only animals strong enough to stop him, so he set out to defeat them. Simba and his pride knew they had to act quickly to protect their home. They gathered all the animals in the savanna and formed a great army to fight the hyenas. The animals were scared, but they trusted Simba to lead them to victory. The battle was fierce and brutal. The hyenas were fierce fighters, and they outnumbered the animals. Simba fought with all his strength and courage, but it seemed like the hyenas were winning. Just when all hope seemed lost, Simba had an idea. He rallied his pride and led them in a charge against the hyenas. They were outnumbered, but they were stronger and braver than their foes. Simba and Scar faced each other in a final showdown, and Simba emerged victorious. He defeated Scar and banished the hyenas from the savannah forever. The animals celebrated their victory, and Simba was hailed as a hero. He had protected his home and his pride, and he had shown the animals of the savannah what true leadership was. From that day on, Simba was known as the Lion King, and he continued to lead his pride with courage and wisdom. Years passed, and Simba grew old and wise. He watched as his children and grandchildren took over the pride, and he knew that his legacy would live on. Even in death, he remained a symbol of strength, courage, and wisdom to all the animals of the savannah. And so, the legend of Simba, the Lion King, lived on for generations, inspiring animals to be brave and strong in the face of adversity. As the days went by, the lion continued to watch the village from afar. He saw how the villagers lived and how they interacted with each other. He saw the children playing and the farmers working in their fields. The lion was amazed by the way the villagers were able to work together and live in harmony. One day, the lion noticed that one of the villagers, a young boy, had become separated from his family and was lost in the forest. The lion knew the boy was in danger and decided to help him. He approached the boy, who was frightened at first, but soon realized that the lion meant him no harm. The lion led the boy back to the village, where he was reunited with his family. The villagers were amazed to see the lion walking calmly beside the boy. They realized that the lion meant them no harm and was actually trying to protect them. From that day on, the lion became a beloved member of the village. He would often visit the villagers, who would feed him and pet him. The lion was happy to be part of the community and would even help the farmers by scaring away the animals that would try to eat their crops. As time passed, the lion grew old and weak. He knew that his time was coming to an end, but he was content. He had found a place where he belonged and had become a valued member of the community. When the lion finally passed away, the villagers mourned his loss. They buried him with honors and built a statue in his honor. The statue depicted the lion walking peacefully beside the young boy he had saved. The villagers knew that the lion had taught them an important lesson. They had learned that even the fiercest of animals could be kind and gentle, and that by working together, they could create a community where everyone was welcome. From that day on, the villagers vowed to always be kind and respectful to the animals that shared their land. And they knew that the spirit of the lion would always be with them, watching over them and reminding them of the importance of kindness and compassion. The end. Sleep well and sweet dreams. Once there was a young turtle named Timmy who loved to race. Unlike his slow and steady turtle friends, Timmy had a need for speed. He dreamed of one day winning the Great Turtle Race, the most prestigious turtle race in the land. Timmy trained every day, swimming laps in the pond and practicing his technique. His friends laughed at him, telling him that turtles were not built for speed and that he was wasting his time. But Timmy didn't let their teasing discourage him. He was determined to prove them wrong. The day of the Great Turtle Race finally arrived. Timmy was nervous but excited as he lined up at the starting line with the other turtles. The signal was given, and they were off. To everyone's surprise, Timmy took an early lead. His friends were shocked as they watched him swim faster than any turtle they had ever seen. Timmy was in the zone, his eyes fixed on the finish line. The other turtles soon caught up, but Timmy didn't give up. He pushed himself harder and harder, determined to cross the finish line first. It was a neck-and-neck race, but in the end, Timmy's training and determination paid off. He crossed the finish line first, the winner of the Great Turtle Race. His friends cheered and congratulated him, amazed at what he had accomplished. Timmy was ecstatic, knowing that he had achieved his dream and proven that even a turtle could be fast. From that day on, Timmy was known as the fastest turtle in the land. He continued to train and race, inspiring other turtles to believe in themselves and reach for their dreams. The end.